Roblox is a very unique platform. There's basically a game for every interest and preference out there. If you want to make pizzas, there's work at a pizza place. Play a horror game, there's the Mimic. And if you want to scam and slaughter innocent children, there's murder mystery. My point is, you basically can play whatever you want. If you want to play Five Nights at Freddy's, you can do just that.
The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night.
However, one of the biggest genres on Roblox is by far the prison game. Although there's been hundreds of different prison-themed games across the years, one of them stands out against the bunch: Prison Life. If you've played or even watched Roblox during the late 2010s, you've probably seen this game before. With its simplistic gameplay and design, Prison Life became one of the most popular games on the platform, with it consistently being on the front page. However, today reveals a different picture, a sadder picture if you will, with Prison Life scraping by 1,000 players at any given time. How could a game that was more popular than the big powerhouses such as Phantom Forces and epic minigames fall to the stage it's in currently? Well, today, I'm going to be telling you about the tragic story of Prison Life, because in the end, Prison Life didn't just die, it was left to rot. And honestly, that's the most realistic prison sentence of all. Led by Roblox username Aesthetical, I'm just going to be referring to him as AE for the duration of the video because his name is hard to pronounce. Anyways, AE officially released the original form of Prison Life in early May 2014. What inspired him to come up with Prison Life? I don't really know. But in this original game, it had some major differences compared to the later Prison Life versions. For starters, in the early versions, the map was entirely different and unrecognizable to the modern one. There were different weapons and items in the game, with players having access to different guns, skateboards, and even guitars for their amusement while they rotted away in prison. Instead of criminals, the escaped convicts were lovingly called citizens, and the vending machines actually worked. But besides that, the original version of Prison Life also had many similarities as the modern game today. They both contained prisoners, police, and the prison contained similar spaces and layout. However, even during the early stages of the game, cracks were already beginning to form. Players soon found ways to exploit Prison Life, an all too familiar pattern for this beloved game. For example, by accessing the guitar, players could easily glitch through the prison to escape. But besides that, and a few other glitches, during the first year of Prison Life's existence, it quickly rose in popularity. With its fun and unique premise, Prison Life soon had a thriving fan base. By December of 2014, Prison Life already had an active player count in the 3,000 area, competing with the powerhouse games at the time such as Twisted Murderer or even Apocalypse Rising. With thousands of players logging into the game daily, AE updated his game every couple months, with version 0.2 coming out about a month after the game was released. And these updates, changes were plentiful, with AE adding a bunch of new features. Some notable additions include version 0.3, which added meal times, riot shields, and extra anti-cheat to limit hackers, version 0.5, which fixed various bugs affecting gameplay, and an update in April of 2015 gave the game working vending machines. But very soon, AE would seemingly step away from his masterpiece as the updates began to get sparser and fewer in numbers. This was unfortunate timing because by the summer of 2015, Prison Life version 0.6 was consistently under Roblox's popular games. It was gaining traction, and with an 83% rating, it was also one of the most liked games on the platform. However, with fewer updates keeping hackers in check, exploiters took advantage, and very soon, the game was plagued with more hackers than ever. Soon enough, veterans and casual players alike began to voice their concerns and frustrations at the game. AE would need to do something, or else the game would die as quickly as it rose to popularity. But real quick, you see, this video is dedicated to this guy, but for the next few videos, I'll be dedicating them to a random subscriber who likes and comments. And since very few of the people who watch my videos are subscribed, there's a high chance that if you subscribe, like, and comment, a future video will be dedicated to you. But anyways, back to the video. 2016 was a crucial year for the game, and this year arguably was going to make or break Prison Life. With only 4 updates since the initial release all the way back in 2014, the game was starting to become unplayable. At the time, version 0.6 was the newest update, and even that was over a year ago. Veterans and diehard fans were quite disgruntled with the direction of the game, and when you lose your primary audience, you know you're toast. So during 2015 and 2016, AE began silently working on a brand new project that would change Prison Life forever. On September 2nd, 2016, AE would announce his latest creation in a now deleted post in the Prison Life community, Prison Life 2.0. This was quite a shock for people who thought AE would just continue updating the original Prison Life instead of dumping it into the garbage entirely. However, as AE explained, the original Prison Life was buggy and he was working by himself to create it. Although this wasn't a problem for him in 2016, working on the game by himself would ultimately hurt him in the long run, as no one else would help him speed up or streamline the game in the future. But it's still 2016, and fans were elated by the news. No longer would people be hacking or exploiting the game, and on top of that, the game was especially designed to prevent various hacks. The game was also getting entirely rehauled, but it was going to keep most of the same game mechanics that made Prison Life so popular in the first place. Prison Life 2.0 would keep the schedule system and guns introduced in the original Prison Life, but it also promised a brand new map, controls, tools, and a whole lot of FUN. However, AE needed to add the final touches to the game, so for a little bit of time, players could spend 45 Robux to play the beta version of the game. Fun fact, you can actually still play this beta version of Prison Life, but now it's going to cost you 1,000 Robux. AE would work tirelessly adding the final touches to the game, and on September 24th, 2016, Prison Life 2.0 would finally be released to the public. But do you know there was a really unique feature that was originally going to be in Prison Life? Crafting. Originally, players could craft a wide variety of items including the crude knife, extended mirror, and more. But unfortunately, AE decided to remove it from Prison Life 2.0, which is a shame since I found Prison Life's crafting very interesting. My best guess on why it was deleted was because it was seen as too complicated or unnecessary, but who knows. But anyways, much like its predecessor, Prison Life 2.0 was an immediate smash hit. By December of 2016, Prison Life 2.0 had ballooned from a few thousand players to 5,000, becoming the second most popular game in Roblox, only behind Lumber Tycoon 2. Furthermore, Prison Life had begun attracting the attention of popular YouTubers such as Dennis Daly, Twisted Pandora, and The Healthy Cow. Their videos, along with others, collectively amassed over 10 million views, significantly boosting the game's visibility and appeal. If you were like me, this is how you were introduced to Prison Life, and while I wouldn't say it was my favorite game back then, it was definitely up there in my most played games. And if you're wondering what my favorite game was back in 2016, it was definitely Murder Mystery 2. I mean, I was out there collecting knives like an absolute maniac. Actually, your opinion's wrong. We all know the best game was work at a pizza place. I think the 2016 Prison Life was very unique. Not only was it one of the few prison games on the platform, it was the main one. And yeah, it was the most dysfunctional penitentiary Roblox had ever seen, but who cares? It felt pure bliss escaping the prison every single time, and then raining havoc on all those that tortured me. However, it wasn't just the game mechanics that made Prison Life so fun, but it was also the people. Every server had that one dude who took his cop role way too seriously. Like, bro, chill, it's Roblox, not the Academy. There were also the role players, the escape artists, and honestly, every server quickly fell into fun chaos. Some of my fondest memories of 2016 Roblox was from Prison Life, and spending hours rounding up all the criminals loose on the map or foiling the plans of the inmates. And I clearly wasn't the only one who felt that Prison Life was a fun game, because by January 2017, Prison Life had over 15,000 active players on it. But little did me or AE know, this was the beginning of the end. People like to follow trends, and unfortunately for AE, this logic applies to Roblox. For the first time ever, Prison Life faced some serious competition in 2017. Enter Jailbreak. Actually, Redwood Prison competed against Prison Life way before Jailbreak. Officially released in January 2017, Jailbreak took everything people loved about Prison Life and cranked it up. Amazing graphics, massive open world map, getaway vehicles, and actual places to rob. And for 2017 Roblox, this was revolutionary. Very soon, Prison Life felt the effects of the new game as it slowly bled players. Now personally, I'm a Jailbreak hater. Always have been, always will be. But even I remember how novel the game was, and people comparing it to a better version of Prison Life. Quickly, Jailbreak became one of, if not the most popular game on the entire platform, amassing over 20,000 players by the end of 2017. Now, astute viewer, you might have been asking yourself, hey, that 2016 version of Prison Life looks the exact same game as the current one. And you'd be correct, because it practically is. Since AE was working by himself, there weren't a lot of updates, and when there were, they rarely changed core aspects of the game. These sparse updates brought back the same nightmare that plagued the game years earlier, an influx of hackers and exploiters running wild in the servers. But this time, unlike before, AE didn't have the time to fight back. He was heading off to college. And as you could tell from my upload schedule, well, you don't get a lot of free time to work on personal projects, no less an entire Roblox game. From late 2017 onward, the game slowly fell into a state of decay, with the only major update occurring in 2019 with AE fixing cars. With minimal updates and a growing number of exploits, prison life started losing its charm. As more polished alternatives like Jailbreak and Mad City emerged, players began jumping ship in search of better experiences. Jailbreak would continue to update the game and reach mind-boggling player counts, even reaching up to 35,000 players at one point, while Prison Life was left in the dust. And that brings us to the current day, where the game scrapes by 1,000 players at any given time. With few updates in a span of 8 years, AE seemingly gave up on his beloved creation, so what happened to Prison Life? Well, there are multiple reasons, starting with one I've been constantly talking about in this entire video: lack of updates. While the game was not getting a ton of updates from 2014 through 2016, AE still occasionally added extra features to keep the game somewhat fresh and entertaining. However, after the release of Prison Life 2.0, all updates seemingly stopped, and none if any content has been added since 2016. I mean, I remember being in elementary school, and mind you, I'm in college now, excitedly waiting for the Sniper update to come out, but that day never came. Think about it, this one feature is older than some people watching this video have been alive. In this life of ours, there are first graders who are younger than this anticipated update. I digress, but the lack of updates is by far a leading cause of Prison Life's downfall. The lack of updates leads me to the second reason: exploiters. Hackers and developers have always been locked in a never-ending arms race, with devs constantly trying to stay 2 steps ahead.
I am always 2 steps ahead.
There were always exploiters, but AE usually pushed out just enough updates to keep things from spiraling out of control. But after 2017, the update slowed to a crawl, and that's when the exploiters really took over. With almost no resistance, hackers had free reign and the game became borderline unplayable. It's hard to overstate just how much they damaged Prison Life. At certain points, finding a single clean server without an exploiter felt impossible. Now give credit where credit's due, and AE has recently patched most of the glitches, but it's a little bit too late at this point, and I feel like Prison Life still has the reputation of being one of the most glitch-filled games on Roblox. Furthermore, the lack of updates has led to the game quickly becoming stale and repetitive. While it is fun to fight and escape prison for hours, it does get boring after a while, and with no updates on the horizon, you know you'll be playing the same game over and over. To remain popular, games always have to adapt, and if you don't, well, people will find something else to play. That's why Prison Life 2.0 was so successful, because it completely overhauled the original Prison Life, so there was a reason for fans to be excited. But when an update only consists of fixing bugs or cars, that's not going to get much attraction. And while repetitive game mechanics might have worked during an era of Roblox when there weren't many other options, I'm not going to be arguing whether or not old Roblox was better. Today, there are so many games to choose from that it's imperative to constantly adapt your game. And that brings me to my final point: the rise of alternatives. During 2014 and 2015, Prison Life was unique, which is why it was so popular. It wasn't Phantom Forces, nor was it Murder Mystery. It was something different. And while those games continue to update and are still widely popular to this day, Prison Life didn't, and it was overshadowed by games like Jailbreak, which changed the prison genre entirely. Prison Life no longer fulfilled a special niche in the Roblox community, ultimately leading it to feel small and outdated in comparison. As I wrap things up, I want to take a moment, on behalf of myself and thousands of other players, to thank AE for everything he did. Prison Life wasn't just a game, it was a core memory. Sure, it had its bugs, its hackers, its moments of chaos, but none of that stopped us from coming back again and again. It shaped a generation of Roblox players, and for many of us, it was our childhood. So to AE, if you're out there, thank you for creating something that meant so much to so many. And while the future of Prison Life may seem uncertain, just know there are still fans out there who haven't forgotten. And maybe, just maybe, this won't be the end of the story.
What I will ask you though is, can you give me one more day? I'm not asking you for a week, I'm not asking you for a month, I'm not asking you for a year. Can you give me one more day?